And when you first walk up the path, this is what you see. Much better shape than last time. So all the way back in 2020, I came to this very spot to document what's left of this long forgotten cemetery in the middle of the woods here. And this cemetery is actually the final resting place of 3 Revolutionary War veterans. So it's very old and therefore very underkept and very neglected. And you'll see that as we walk around. The reason why I wanted to come back here after almost 3 years now is because I want to do everything in my power to make sure that this cemetery and the people who rest here, especially those who fought for our independence, are not forgotten. I wanted to come here today and give everybody an update on the status of this cemetery and its condition. The last time I was here, it was August, and it was not the smartest idea coming here in August because the weeds and the growth was just too much for me to try to navigate and see as much as I could possibly see. I had a lot of trouble reading some of the headstones, and it was just not the best time to do the video. So I'm here today now in April, before everything blooms excessively. I'm a little bit late, but it should be a lot better today. There was a lot of interest in the original video of this place, so I wanted to come back here and make sure that I documented it as thoroughly as I possibly could. It's just so incredibly peaceful here. Joseph W. Jennings, native of Vermont, 1843 to 1896. That's solid granite, and it looks like it could have been put there yesterday. It's in great shape. I remember this one from last time. This was one of the nicest ones we saw. It looks like it could have been put there last year, but in fact it was put here in 1877. At least it so appears. Miller, John, 1817 to 1877, and Katharina Bayer, 1814 to 1872. It's 150 years old and it looks pristine. It looks like something tried to dig this one up here, but I think I remember this one too. This was also in really good shape. It says mother on the top there. And James Hamilton died October 17th, 1897. It looks like they don't know his birth date, but he was 89 years old, and his wife, Martha Miller, died January 17th, 1866. At 64 years of age. And unfortunately, just the base of this headstone remains with no sign of the rest of it anywhere. So it looks like this tree must have fallen and taken a couple of headstones out with it, because there's this here, which is barely anything left of it. Just tells me that there was a grave here at one point. And this, which is not readable, and the top half is taken off. But at least I know there was a grave here. And I'm not sure if I remember this tree last time. It might have been here. It could have just been covered in weeds and shrubs, but I'm not entirely sure. Again, same story with this one. Something must have fallen on it at some point, and there's no sign of this headstone anywhere. And here's another one that has a little bit more. I can make out some words and some dates. I can't see the name, but it looks like 1815 for something. And the inscription, can't make it out too well, to this something. And here we have another one that I probably would not have seen in the summertime. Can't make anything out. It says JCC. This is a really interesting one here. Looks like a double. It must have been like a husband and a wife. Let's see if we can read anything. I can only make out words, certain words like in memory of, age something. Maybe that says age 9. So maybe it wasn't a husband and wife. Maybe a mother and daughter. Children. More legible down here, I guess, because it's been protected from the weeds, from the elements. And it's about the only word I can see, though. I know people suggested some tips to me in the original video to try and make some of these out, like coming with wax paper and tracing it with the wax crayon. This one might be a good one to try that out, because all the letters are there and nothing's broken. There's just little bits of headstones scattered all around here. There was one there. And I remember these two. I think I was able to get around this side last time. But this one, I'm actually able to read pretty well. Rachel, the daughter of Richard and Elizabeth Compton, who departed this life November the 7th, 1801, aged 63 years, 3 months, and 28 days. Come fee the place where I do lie, as you are now, foe once was I. As I am now, foe you must be, prepare for death and follow me. And these are just more remnants and bits and pieces of random stones, I guess, thrown together so that they wouldn't get lost. This one I can see the number 17, so I'm assuming that's a birth year, and then aged 65. Wonder what that is. And it looks like this one fell face down right there. It's a shame because this one is made of granite and it would probably be readable. Here's one made out of slate. And this is quite a tongue twister. Looks like it's in Old English, which means it's very old. I think it's a prayer. I'm not even going to attempt that. Did please home free her from he till the last trumpet joyful sound, then burst the dreams with sweet and her sleep on out. God called you home, for he thought it's best. I don't see a date on this one or a name, just the prayer. And I do remember this one. Had some trouble reading it last time, I believe. Let's see what we have. In memory of Elizabeth, daughter of Joseph and Sarah Compton. Who departed this life July the, of course there's a hole right there, 1800. Age 20 years, 1 month, and 7 days. Very young. Sad. And I can't really see. Mourn for my debt is paid. Prepare for death and follow me. So it's similar to the other one. May 4. And it's broken there. Wow. So tragic. Only 20 years old. And it looks like this one actually has a veteran marker on there, so I'm going to do my best to get through these pricker bushes and see what I can, if I can make anything out. So I did my best to get over here, and all that it says is war veteran, U.S. war veteran, so it does not specify which war. So a part of what makes this cemetery so special to me is that in this cemetery lies the remains of veterans from every single early American war. So that includes the American Revolution, the War of 1812, the Spanish-American War, and the American Civil War. There are 3 veterans buried here from the American Revolution, 2 from the War of 1812, 1 from the Spanish-American War, and 4 from the American Civil War. And that to me just makes it extra sad that there's veterans here in this old cemetery that fought in those crucial early American conflicts, and that this place is still largely forgotten. This one's in great shape. Last name Russell, son George F.H., 1857 to 1881. He's also very young. And mother Mary Hawkins, 1828 to 1884. And George H. was only 24 years old when he died. Here we have William McKay, born July 15th, 1827, and died on October 6th, 1896. And it says, the holder of Jesus Christ, the Son. That's about all I can make out. Right behind it here we have another war veteran. It's quite a shame that the rest of the headstone is gone. All that remains is just a little piece of the bottom, and all that is evidence that there was a headstone here and somebody lying beneath us is that there's just a little piece of the bottom of the old headstone there. Fortunately, we can't make anything out or find any information about this individual, but thankfully there is sort of a clue. This was another war veteran. So there's one of these plaques like we saw over there that should be up on a pole sticking out of the ground. So at least we have this clue here to tell us that this person was one of the veterans here that fought in one of those early American conflicts. And here's one that I cannot really read. I see the number 67, so I'm going to assume that person was 67 years old. And I can't really make out that bottom part too well. And right next to it we have this one, sacred to the memory of Isaac something, who died November 12th, 1818, aged 38 years and 14 days. It's only 2 weeks after his birthday. Mark the perfect man, and behold the upright, for the end of that man is peace. Wow, this is probably the slate headstone that's in the best condition in this whole cemetery. Everything's legible. This one's been here for so long, it's actually started growing into the tree. This would have been a very beautiful monument at one point, but it's all toppled over. And of course, I remember this one from last time. This is James Castner, a Revolutionary War veteran who died on January 8th, 1821. His headstone is in very good shape, relatively speaking. So James Castner, 1BNINNJINF. So in New Jersey Infantry, Rev War, Revolutionary War, 1728 he was born, and he died January 8th, 1821. Very understated and a very humble headstone for somebody who fought in perhaps the most important American conflict. Can only make out this, I think. Okay, so this looks like another one of those double headstones. So it must have been like a husband and a wife, or a mother and a child. I don't see the rest of the headstone anywhere, but I can see days, 18 something, and days. That's about it. This will be a really good one to try out that wax crayon trick, because everything's here. Hopefully we'd be able to see what it says. Looks like March 8th something. And I just can make out a few words like free. That's it. So there's this section that must have been a family plot or something along the lines to designate this part of the cemetery. Is this an old beer can? Oh, it's a very old iced tea can. That's been here for a while. I don't know why you'd come here and drink iced tea and just leave it, but this was obviously a very long time ago. They don't make cans like this anymore. So we're inside that family plot now, and it looks like there's Samson. It looks like it says, "Our mother, Catherine Sampson, December 11th, 1882, aged 68 years, 9 months and 17 days. So this one's very old, but because it's made of granite, it's in very good shape still. Stephen Todd, June 25th, 1883, aged 71 years. And that's about all I can make out. Maybe this is another Todd. Maybe Joey Todd died. Can't make that out either. Maybe 1898, I think that says. Can't really get anything off of this one either. It's just obvious that there were letters at one point. Can't tell what they were. And just more that are totally toppled over here. Not really able to see what this one was at all. And it looks like this area is completely enclosed. There's no kind of walk-through area. And I could see that there's remains of headstones, but none of them are even close to being in legible shape. In fact, none of them are even intact, really. There's just some remains of one there, maybe a headstone base over there, right there, and right there. And that's about it. And this one is also in incredibly good shape. We have David Todd, 1801 to 1894. So he lived 93 years. That's quite a lifespan for back then. And it says father on the base. It's very simple. Nothing too fancy for Mr. Todd. Here's one that I definitely missed last time. Totally not legible at all, but it looks like this little piece was a part of this at one point. And I can just make out a couple of words like of, death, all, but that's about it. Yeah. Here we have another one that's in really good shape, and I can read everything. Reemer, George W. Reemer, 1830 to 1903. His wife, Mary E. Kershaw, 1837 to 1915. Their daughter, Mary E., 1871 to 1886. So she was also very young. She was only 15. Very sad. And last but certainly not least here, we have George Reemer Jr. And I believe this is how I finished the video last time too, because his grave just kind of sits in the lost little corner here of the cemetery. But Mr. Reemer was also a Revolutionary War veteran, and he is what I believe to be only the second Revolutionary War veteran in this cemetery whose headstone is intact, totally illegible. The third Revolutionary War veteran's headstone must have been destroyed somehow, and so we're unfortunately not able to identify that third one. But just the fact that two of the oldest veterans in this cemetery here we're able to identify just based on their headstone is actually pretty amazing when you consider the fact that there's over 100 people buried here, and much less than that whose headstones we can actually identify. So it's pretty amazing that we're able to identify two of the oldest ones with some of the most significant history here. And it looks like that flag I was able to put back up last time still stands, but this one doesn't look like it shares the same fortune. It looks like it must have been broken since last time. We're still going to try and put it back up here because it's very much deserved and it should be flying in any way possible. Let's see. We'll have to bring back new ones, but this will have to do for now. Kind of able to stay there. And there it is. We got them flying proud above this Revolutionary War veteran once again. So just imagine what this would have looked like back in the day. This would have been a lot more open, obviously. There would have been no trees here. You would have been able to just see that very large mountain behind us. Would have felt a lot more open. There obviously would have been no houses there at the time. It would have just been rolling hills and farmland. And the area of New Jersey that I'm in actually was primarily farmland up until about the 1980s. So this certainly would have been very rural, very open, and would have been farmland back in the days where this cemetery was in use. This actually would have been the stereotypical cemetery up on the hill. I know it doesn't look like it now, but that's actually a very long hill that goes down that way now. And when there were no trees here and it was just wide open fields, this would have been a much more noticeable hill with a much higher elevation than everything else around it. And you can see this is the highest point for much of the surrounding area. Pretty cool to think about. I just now finished up my second visit to the forgotten Revolutionary War Cemetery deep in the woods here, otherwise known as Castner-Compton Cemetery. I hope everybody enjoyed the update. I know I was pretty curious myself to finally get back here after some time and see what kind of condition this place was in. Let me know if you want to see more of these types of videos, more forgotten cemeteries. I think I know of a few more. If you guys want to see them, I'll more than gladly film them and get them out to you guys. See you in the next video.